Hi, and welcome to SteamLUG Cast. My name is Cheese, and with me this week I have Swordfisher.
The one and only. Hey guys.
How you going?
Well, I'm doing fine. I'm missing John already though. How about you?
Yeah, the same. It's a little bit empty without him.
Yeah. He's a spacious guy.
So, yeah, what have you been up to over the past couple of weeks?
Well, as usually, I've been doing a lot of work. And actually been playing some games, but we're gonna talk about that later. So, what about you? You're busy with some software freedom thingy?
Yeah. So, today for me is Software Freedom Day. That happens on the third Saturday of every September. And it's this sort of global, community level celebration of free software with events happening, all around the world. It's pretty exciting. I've done 7 of them now, so it's been going for a while. We're moving to a new venue this year, so it's gonna be interesting. I've been a little bit too busy to promote it as much as I normally would like.
Yeah.
So we'll just sort of have to see how it goes. But yeah, so I've been crazy busy trying to get that stuff all sorted.
So, are you promoting SteamLUG at the events?
Well, we focus mainly on free software. I mean, if someone comes in and they kind of ask whether you can run, Steam or whether you can play games and stuff, then I'll definitely talk about SteamLUG. But I think the thing that I'm probably, if SteamLUG's going to have any presence there at all, it's most likely going to be in talking about Creative Commons licensing, because we license our cast archives. CC NA, is it?
No, CC by SA.
Ah, it is. Yeah. Sorry. But yeah, so we might have a bit of a chat about that during the day. But yeah, it'd be good.
Because we recently got a graded title we're gonna talk about later, which fits that profile. So that would be nice.
Totally does.
Oh yeah.
So looking at events, recently we had our first Natural Selection 2 event.
Yeah, I didn't attend it because I don't own the game, so that's pretty hard for me to join.
Oh yeah, you went there. Sorry, I thought you were. It was heaps of fun. It is crazy. It's crazy fast. I have a bit of trouble hitting anything. It runs a little bit under 30 frames a second on my machine, so I think I kind of might be at a little bit of a disadvantage there, along with my massive ping. But it seemed like everybody had fun. It was certainly a good learning experience for everybody. The game had only just been released, and people seem to have fun. So we'll probably look at making that a recurring event. Yeah. Bring some more people along and try and get more teams going and stuff. It'd be great.
Yeah, from what I've heard, there are some minor performance issues right now.
Yeah, I pretty much had to drop all the settings down to get it behaving nicely, which is a little bit of a shame because it does look nice with everything turned up.
Is it still in beta or is it released completely?
I think it's considered to be released.
Okay.
Yeah. And also recently we had our first Guns of Icarus event, or Guns of Icarus Online, sorry, which is this kind of steampunk air naval combat game where you crew on board a zeppelin, an armed zeppelin, and you got to work with your crew to navigate the ship and fire your cannons at the enemy. It's pretty neat. I'm kind of hoping that we'll see more of those as well as time moves forward. We had 2 SteamLUG ships, which was great. Two allied SteamLUG ships, and I think we won probably more than half of the matches that we went into. I got to captain for a couple of rounds, and after a fairly shaky start, I managed to trounce our opponent for the remaining 2 matches, which is good. It's good.
That seems like a pretty good start for people who haven't played before.
Yeah, it's the kind of, you got four people to a ship's crew, and I think that small team size really helps people communicate a bit more effectively.
Yeah.
And so maybe because we're used to playing and talking, we're able to coordinate to sort of compensate for our lack of experience. But we did have a couple of people who'd played it before. Nimoda and Expander had both played it a little bit, I think. And I can't recall who else we played with, but it was heaps of fun, and I am totally looking forward to the next one.
So did everyone coordinate on Mumble or?
Yeah, we used Mumble
nice.
for the most part, but we also used the in-game chat a little bit.
Yeah.
So Mumble let us talk, but then both of the SteamLUG ship crews could hear. But I think if we used the in-game chat, only our own crew could hear, I think.
Okay.
It's kind of hard to tell.
Yeah.
But we did pretty well. I was pretty pleased with how we did.
That's nice to hear. So of upcoming events, I haven't been planning that much, but if anyone are interested, I'd like some help planning events.
Yeah, one of the things that we'd like to do is if there's somebody who's kind of keen on a game, like if there's somebody who's really excited about Natural Selection 2 and wants to,
or Secret of the Magic Crystals, maybe,
or Secret of the Magic Crystals, and wants to sort of take that on board and do the regular coordination of that, show up, make sure people know that it's on. That would is the sort of support that we're looking for. It's not a big role, but obviously it's a plus if you're already excited about the game.
Yeah, that would be pretty nice if someone could help us out, because we got a lot of stuff to do also.
Yeah, and it becomes tricky if there's a game that we don't own. We can't schedule an event for it. That's made things awkward for us a little bit.
Yeah.
In the past. But we'll be putting our October schedule of events up probably within the next week or so, I guess.
Yeah.
And we'll see some good titles and hopefully some new titles in there as well.
Yeah. Currently, we have some issues with the events on the Steam website.
Yeah, the events calendar is kind of broken on the Steam website at the moment, and which in turn has broken the events calendar or the events countdown and stuff on the SteamLUG website. Yeah. But hopefully that'll be fixed soon, so fingers crossed.
Yeah. But coming up, we have SteamLUG's Team Fortress 2, which is the usual experience on the 21st.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna try and mix up the map list a little bit more this time. Play a bit more variety of stuff, just to kind of make everybody feel like they're getting something out of it. Because I think previously we haven't done so much push the cart, which I quite enjoy. And as Space Pope says, we don't often play two forts, so we'll try and set it up so that we can have a good mix of game types in there.
And also, all suggestions are welcome. Anything, extra apps, game types, whatever. Let us know, and we will try to add them.
Yep. And normally, when things wind down, when we've only got half dozen players or so left, we normally fall back to man versus machine mode and take on the robots, which is fun.
The next event is after Team Fortress 2 is Crusader Kings 2. We have a lot of requests to add that as an event. So
yeah, it's been hugely requested.
Yeah. So I hope we're gonna get a great show.
Yeah. So if you play it, invite your friends.
Yeah, invite your friends. But I don't think it's my kind of game. I might not be there, but I'm pretty sure someone else will.
Yeah, I don't think I even own it. It looks kind of interesting, but it also looks like the kind of game that would suck up a lot of my life. So I kind of just been, I'll come across it at some stage, but I don't want to dive into it before I have free time.
Moving on to Steam and oops, I was going other community stuff. Sorry.
If anybody has run or has visited a Software Freedom Day event, we'd love to hear about it and talk about it and stuff. So let us know, get in touch, leave a comment. Be good. And also for anybody who's not that keen on Team Fortress 2, we are doing The Raven, Legacy of a Master Thief for Game Club this weekend, which is a point-and-click adventure by the people who made Book of Unwritten Tales. And we have some developers joining us as well. So I'll throw a link out there for anybody who's keen.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting to join the game clubs.
Yeah. So the idea is it's kind of like a book club for games, and we're meant to play through in our own time and then come together on the weekend to discuss what the game's about. So we end up having really kind of interesting chats, and when developers join, that usually ends up yielding some unique perspectives on what things were like to develop the games that we've been playing.
Yeah. So can we move on to Steam and Valve news?
You've been itching.
Yeah.
Itching to get there.
Yeah.
All right, we'll do that. Do we need some little transmission music? Do you want to do a transition music? Nice.
All right, Steam and Valve news. There's an interesting game being greenlit. That's Warsaw, and the spectacular thing about this is it's a free open source game.
Yay!
Woo! And it's a fast-paced shooter that's even better.
Yeah, so it's kind of got this cartoony feel. It's based on a revamped Quake 2 engine.
Yeah, Q Fusion.
Yeah, but if like you wouldn't know it if you look at it. You go, what? You would not believe that it is Quake 2 based. It's quite impressive. But it's got all this kind of like really tactical, wall dodging and wall jumping and stuff, which is really increases the the dynamics of movement throughout the levels and stuff.
Yeah.
It's fun. Yeah.
I would call it old school FPS shooter, like back when you played like Quake and Unreal Tournament, all those great games.
Yeah, it feels very kind of Quake 3 in its damage models, and even like the map layouts as well feel quite similar to the Quake 3 arena.
Yeah, exactly. And I've always thought that this kind of gameplay was a dying breed, but apparently not.
No, Warsaw's had a like really strong community for many years.
Yeah.
I love that we're talking about Warsaw and other guys are talking about Hedge Wars.
Yeah. Well, they both have war in the name, so.
Yeah.
Warsaw.
Hedge Warsaw.
Yeah.
That's going to be the next title greenlit, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So people with observant eyes may have noticed that yesterday the Steam client the Steam beta client got an update which mysteriously added support for upcoming features. And then later on this evening, Valve launched the teaser for their upcoming living room reveal.
Yeah, that's pretty exciting.
So we've got a countdown there. It's got a bit over 70 hours on it now, I think.
Yeah.
It looks like there's room for other countdown timers as well, so chances are we're going to be seeing a staged reveal of what people are calling the Steam box.
Yeah, that's highly likely.
I think it's probably going to be fairly safe speculation. On the page we've got a box of some kind with a blue star thing on it.
Yeah, that's a TV.
Oh, it's a TV, is it?
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay. I guess that makes more sense. I thought maybe it was meant to be like looking down on top of a console. I'm like, oh, they're going to put these crazy blue star decal on it. That's cool.
It looks like a wall, with a TV and...
Yeah, it probably is. It totally is, yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know TV, so it's not the first thing I think of.
Okay. Well, I don't either, so... But I don't own a cardboard cat, but I can see it's a cardboard cat too.
Yeah, I think we all need more cardboard cats.
Yeah.
It's interesting to see that the controller that they've got there has 3 buttons.
Yeah, that's probably Half-Life 3 confirmed.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Actually, if you Google my name and Half-Life 3, I think the first hit will be me confirming Half-Life 3.
The same could probably be said of anybody.
Well.
Everybody confirms Half-Life 3. So, the other thing of note on that page is that it says that the Steam universe is expanding in 2014. So, whatever we're looking at unveiling across the coming days is likely to not hit until next year.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to it anyway.
Yeah. I mean, chances of it being Steambox related or related to what people are calling Steambox is pretty high. If it's not, it'll certainly be fairly interesting. They're talking about it being an extension, allowing people to bring the big picture 10-foot UI into the lounge room, and it feels like some small form factor PCs targeted at the console market are likely to be the direction that's going to take. So it'll be exciting to see where it goes.
I hope, or do they have video support in Big Picture that you can play off your devices? You know, movies and home theater-ish thingy.
It's a good question. I'm not sure. I mean, I'm certain that you can probably play anything that you have on Steam, because obviously Steam supports media for trailers and the 1 or 2 movies that are on there.
But that could be, if they don't have it already, that might be something they want to add. If they want to, you know, make the full media experience.
Yeah, and it'd make a lot of sense with the directions that they seem to be going in. You can imagine it now. You know, you'll see someone on your friends list is in non-Steam movie.
That'd be fun.
But yeah, it's gonna be interesting. But you're right. It does feel like Steam is lacking the kind of home media center type role that many consoles are playing for people at the moment.
But I don't know, maybe if they added some kind of app support for Big Picture, so you get like Netflix or streaming stuff like Hulu or whatever.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't use Big Picture at all, so I don't know if they already have that. So if I'm wrong, correct me.
I don't know either. I think I've launched it twice by accident.
Yeah. There was a bug once where it started Big Picture out of nowhere.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I've actually encountered that a couple of times. But also, not that Linux related, but certainly in the sort of Valve news front, looks like the motion controlled Portal 2 spin-off has been launched.
Yeah.
Which I completely forget the name of. The idea is that it's designed to work with this kind of motion tracking video camera system that Creative have released, and you sort of use gestures to control and navigate throughout the world of Portal, and it has I think 7 exclusive maps specifically designed for this type of interface. So it'd be interesting to see whether they add support for additional devices, whether or not this, because it's a standalone version of Portal 2, it'd be interesting to see whether or not it hits Linux. I was going to say it's called the Portal 2 Sixth Sense Perceptual Pack.
You're right. So, okay, you were talking about some IGF finalists and Valve?
Yeah, so previously Valve have had an agreement with the Independent Games Festival that the finalists in their competition would be guaranteed a spot on Steam. And that includes titles like, say, Fez, for example, from the recent Humble Bundle. And Valve have recently confirmed that they're renewing that agreement, and so subsequent IGF finalists are still going to continue to get their guaranteed Steam placement.
Yeah, that's pretty neat for indie developers.
Yeah, and a lot of people kind of, say that big games are where it's at on Steam, but it's pretty clear that Valve are fairly invested in offering support and exposure to independent game developers.
Yeah.
And it feels like that's more than just a token effort, particularly when you look at what happened during the launch of Portal 2, when they partnered up with a whole stack of indie developers to participate in the ARG that they were setting up with the potato sack bundle.
Oh yeah, I saw people have badges for that.
Yeah, did you catch it when it was running?
Nope. I didn't use Steam at that point.
Yeah, right. The idea was that they got all these indie developers together. They said, hey guys, do you guys want to help us launch Portal 2? Apparently there were no NDAs involved. It was just, people asking people kind of stuff. It was really, really nice and down to earth. And they gave them access to Portal 2 assets and Portal 2 sound effects and stuff, and said, look, here are some files, hide them in your game, and then put any extra bonus Portal 2 flavored content in that you want, and so all these games got these mysterious little updates, and like little extra levels and stuff. Like Cogs, for example, had I think it had like a Jack in the Box with GLaDOS that came out if you solved the puzzle, and then that gave you like a URL that you could go to and download like a zip file that had an encrypted picture in it, and in one of the channels or metadata of the picture was a piece of some code that could be used in some other part of the ARG. It was all really convoluted and certainly beyond my abilities to solve on my own, but the community managed to rip through that stuff, that aspect of the ARG really quickly. It was really exciting to see that kind of participation.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was what people got badges for. So when you unlocked the files, when you get the URLs to go and download them, it added a potato badge to your thing, and if you got enough potatoes, you got a golden potato or something. But after the main part of the ARG was solved, and this kind of, I don't know, it seemed to upset a lot of people, because everybody was going, oh, okay, we've solved the main part of the ARG, and there's this big countdown timer now. Maybe we've all managed to get Portal 2 released early, and then it turned out that was at the end of that countdown timer. They launched this GLaDOS at Home thing, which is kind of a bit of a take on the SETI at Home distributed computing thing, and the idea was that it counted play hours in games, and it was the games from that potato sack bundle, and once they reached a certain amount, then for each game they had to reach a certain number of play hours, and that would knock a certain number of minutes or hours off the launch of Portal 2. But everybody was so exhausted after solving all the ARG puzzles that it did feel like a bit of an anticlimax in some ways. And I think we ended up managing to get it released like, I don't know, 8 hours early or something. It wasn't really a big thing in the end. But it was fun for everybody to like really hammer away at these indie games, and they all got a lot of exposure.
Also, Steam added some new beta called Steam Sharing, I think it was.
Yeah.
Steam Family Sharing, sorry.
So this is kind of the implementation of like Valve have been saying, or Gabe has been saying for ages, that he really wants to see some kind of sharing or trading type stuff, allowing people to breathe some new life into their existing game libraries to allow others to effectively play the used games. And
I think you're mixing stuff up. As far as I understand this, it's when you log in from someone else's account on your PC, you have access to their library as long as they don't use it.
Oh, you have to enable them, and it doesn't have to be on the same computer either. I don't think you can nominate a bunch of computers that you're allowed to use. So the idea is that you still retain ownership, but it's still like if there's a game that you're not interested in playing so much, because obviously you can't play it while someone else is playing it. But you have that ability to let other people use the games that you've played.
Okay.
So I kind of it's not quite used game trading, but I see it as kind of the first step towards that sort of thing. Kind of feels like it's got that kind of flavor to it and that kind of direction.
Yeah. It says that you only can access the library from one user at a time, and the lender has superiority of that.
Yeah.
Well, it makes sense, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, if the game's yours and you've lent it to someone and they don't want to give it up, you don't want to have lost your game. But I like the last question in the FAQ, which is about whether or not you'll be punished for cheating or fraud using that somebody else has done whilst playing your copy of the game. and they've said, yeah, it's like you'll totally lose your privileges if you've lent it to people who do bad stuff, and recommend that you make sure that you only nominate people that you know are trustworthy and that their computers are secure.
Yeah. Well, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, people don't have common sense, so.
Yeah. Often.
Nobody has.
But yeah, do you think you'll use this feature?
Probably not.
I have to say, like, most of the games that I don't know, maybe I'd use it like if Mim and I are traveling or something, and I've got some single player adventure game or whatever that I'm keen to play, but she's logged in, then that's probably something that we'd do. But most of the stuff we play is multiplayer, and we need 2 copies of it anyway.
Yeah. I don't know. People who are going to use this feature might probably have, social lives and girlfriends and family and all that stuff. I don't have any of that, so it wouldn't make any sense for me to have it.
Well, this may come back to the whole Steam in the living room type thing. If you've got a dedicated living room device that's running Steam, and you can say, well, I've got 5 people living in my house, I'm going to add them all as family members or whatever, so that I can share my titles with them, and that kind of means that no matter who is logged on to the device, you can start up all your games.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. But then again,
you got to have people to share with.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm a collector anyway, so I usually try to get as many games as possible that I can play. So
yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this is received. Apparently, not all games are going to support it. I guess that means that there are some developers who didn't like the idea.
And all I can think of is EA, but they are not on Steam.
Yeah.
So alright, Blender,
yeah. This is interesting news. This is kind of exciting stuff. So, Valve have managed to, thanks to some Steam Workshop donations, organize to get 2 part-time Blender developers paid to work on Blender and improve workflows for bringing content to proprietary game engines.
and that is awesome.
That is sweet. So we struggled with some of this stuff a little bit during 7-Day FPS with the Source SDK-based game that we worked on. We used Blender for making models and stuff, and having no clear workflows or pipelines for bringing that content into the Source SDK without having to go out to Windows to convert stuff and then back to Linux. That kind of hampered us a bit, because it was a key thing that we wanted to do, was to say, we made this using Linux-based tools, and sort of use it as a bit of a demonstrative piece as well, to be able to say, hey, if you want to make games on Linux, here's one option.
But also, booting up in Windows, and if you have Windows at all, or a Mac or whatever, it kind of breaks your workflow.
Yeah. I mean, rebooting doesn't take as long today as it did, 5 or 6 years ago.
No, but you got 10,000 tabs open in Firefox and 300 windows and whatnot these days.
Exactly. It's I don't know, for me the way that I work, because I have lots of things going on at once, I can't justify rebooting my machine to do a tiny task like that, or to play a game even, because I work while I play games, and yeah, I can't afford to be dual booting for games.
Exactly. And my thought would be, if I could do it all in Windows, why not just do it there, instead of booting up in Linux, doing some of the work and go back to Windows, do some of the work and go back to Linux again, and then do the rest.
Yeah.
Just seems wrong.
Yeah. Well, we're pretty close to having end to end for most of the the bits and pieces that we wanted to do with the Source SDK.
Yeah.
There are native versions of some of the map compilation libraries now, which there weren't when we started working. So that kind of stuff makes a big difference. And whether or not we had a direct influence on that, we're certainly in a position to help remind people that that this kind of work is moving forward. So that's positive too. But it'll be interesting to see whether this has any bearing on the request for Blender to be distributed on Steam, which hit the Blender mailing lists a couple months back, I think. But yeah, very exciting stuff.
Yeah. Also, that's something I'm happy for. I've been talking about this sometimes about right now. Half-Life Source has been released for the beta client.
Yeah, that means we've got. Is that every Half-Life now supports Linux?
That's a tough question.
I think it is.
I should have prepared for that one. Oh yeah.
Oh, somebody has just pointed out codename Gordon doesn't support Linux.
Yeah, that's great.
That's true.
And there are some other ones. I just can't remember. No.
You sure?
I care.
Oh, I mean, we've got Lost Coast and Episode 1 and 2, Half-Life 2, Half-Life 2 Deathmatch, and now we've got betas of Source and Source Deathmatch.
Yeah.
I think that's it. Oh, Decay. Ah, very nice. Somebody in chat has picked up that Half-Life Decay is missing from that list. But I don't own it, so I don't know.
But that's not a Valve game, is it?
I have no idea.
But it's not here, and we need it.
we can come back and talk about it next time.
Yeah, for sure.
So moving on, Gabe gave a keynote talk at LinuxCon earlier this month.
Yeah.
Did you happen to see that?
Yeah, I did. Gabe is probably not the best speaker, but it was okay to watch. I don't know. He came up with some good points, but yeah, I just felt like I knew all the stuff anyway. But
yeah, that is that's something I've seen echoed by a lot of Linux users. My perspective is that Valve are in a position to keep reiterating that they feel that Linux is worthwhile and that it's a good direction for them and for the industry as a whole. I think if they're in a position to prominently and publicly be restating that, that's really positive.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it feels like there was a missed opportunity to go into a bit of a detail about what it is that the feedback that they've gotten from developers who want to work on Linux have provided them with, what the outcomes from that are. Because he kind of alluded to the biggest issue being some of the idiosyncrasies of Linux debuggers, and that they're working with a third party now to look at developing a new Linux-friendly debugger that meets some of the requirements that these developers have highlighted. But it would have been great to hear a little bit more detail about the kind of feedback that they got.
Well, I read some comments on Reddit about the talk he gave, and some people were, I don't know, dissatisfied with Valve going on with a debugger. But then again, I thought about I think it was Fish. Was it him? Who's
Phil Fish?
Yeah, wasn't it him who said the debugger in Linux was not friendly?
I think it was Jonathan Blow.
What was it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Some indie developer,
And the thing is, Windows debuggers are often more GUI oriented and often more integrated with IDEs, and that's something that that we, I don't think we have the same level of polish, I guess, and that tends to be the case sometimes with Linux tools that are very narrowly focused. Is once they become usable in the context that they're needed, there's not a lot of value in the people with deep insights into what makes them work and what makes them good. There's not a lot of incentive to keep working on that once they meet the core requirements that those people have.
The thing I like about them making a debugger is that that's probably what the game developers want, and if they get what they want to make games for Linux, then I'm happy because then I get more games on Linux.
Right. And if it turns out that whatever comes out of this ends up open sourced, then that's great for everybody. If it's not open sourced, then maybe that will highlight to some of the projects that are out there the areas in which they may want to look at improving to compete and to remain usable and relevant. It's going to shift the landscape a bit, but maybe that's going to be a positive thing regardless.
Well, it will certainly bring some competition to the existing debuggers. That always helps.
Yeah. On the whole, I'm glad that to see Gabe giving a keynote talk at LinuxCon. Yeah. That's a pretty big thing.
Yeah. Should we move on to general gaming news?
Yeah, let's go on to do we need another intermission tune? Nice.
Yeah.
So, what have you been playing lately?
Well, first of all, I've finally completed Counter-Strike Condition Zero deleted scenes, and I was so happy.
Yay! Is that after they fixed that bug?
Yeah. I became stuck like at every bug they had, so I had to wait for Alfred to to fix the bug and then play it. I don't know if he got tired of me because every time he closed one of the bugs and I updated the game, like 2 hours later, I created a new bug report. But eventually he got it all fixed, so I could complete the game.
That's good.
Yeah.
That you're single-handedly making Counter-Strike Condition Zero deleted scenes more solid.
Yeah. Well, I think there was like 80 players in total of the deleted scenes at that point. So.
Wow, really?
Yeah, not that much, but that doesn't matter. I enjoyed it. Yeah.
That's not much at all. Well, yeah, if it's there and it's released, then I think it's amazing and really, really positive that a game with a low, a recognized low user base is getting more than just a token port.
Yeah.
That it's being looked after.
Exactly. So I'm currently working on getting through all the Valve games on Linux. So.
What are you working on now?
Well, currently I'm playing Condition Zero, the original one. It has some standard multiplayer thingy where you pick some bots for your team and play through with that.
Yeah, okay.
It's okay. The bots are the AI generally in Condition Zero is below average, I'd guess.
Nice.
Yeah, sometimes they try to jump on each other and then they get stuck. So if you die too early in the game, you have to watch them jump on each other for 2 hours. 2 minutes. Sorry. Yeah, that's pretty boring.
Wow, 2 hours.
Yeah, and not that much. I'd probably just surrender the game maybe. I've been playing some Surgeon Simulator 2.
What's that like?
It's amazing. Yeah, I can't play that game at all, and I was drunk when I tried it, but I almost puked myself because it was so fun. And I had my friend over, and he was trying too, and he just rocked that game. I couldn't pick anything up. I just ended up smashing my hand through all the stuff and getting drugged and pour glass down the poor man's body and slapping him in the face and whatnot. Yeah.
Nice. So this is kind of one of those games where you control like each of the joints independently, yeah?
Yeah, it's like have you played Quap?
Yeah.
Yeah. Quap with a knife. and hammer and whatnot.
Nice.
So the first level you have to make a heart transplant, and you first you have to find something to break his rib cage with, and that's obviously a hammer. But there's a saw too, but it takes for a long time. So you just start bashing in his rib cage with the hammer, and then you
We don't have time for saws.
yeah, exactly. And then you bash his rib cage in and completely destroy this poor fellow. And then you have to, throw all the ribs away and take his heart out and change it with the other one you have. That's immensely fun. I can really recommend this game. Yeah,
Nice.
and I played it for like 1 hour total, I think, and it was worth every penny.
That's awesome.
And there's also a what do you call it? A Easter egg where you can do it on the you're playing the medic from Team Fortress 2 on the heavy guy. You have to transplant his heart.
I thought that was like a DLC or something.
No, it's in game. You have to find out yourself how to do it.
Yeah, okay. Sweet.
Yeah, that's it's a pretty amazing game, I think. Certainly worth your time. Then I've been playing some Scrumble Ship. I don't know if any of you have heard of it, but
I've heard of it, but I haven't really looked into it.
I think it goes beyond my comprehension. It's like a Uber Minecraft with spaceships, and it was pretty fun to make a spaceship, but I had no idea what I was doing. But I could be creative, so that kind of helped me a lot. And
yeah, cool.
And also, if someone is interested in playing this game but don't have it, I have 3 keys I got from the developer. I'd like to give out to someone who wants to play the game. So hit me up after. Yeah.
Nice.
Um.
So yeah, grab Swordfisher after the show and beat him up and take his keys.
Yeah. Got 3 keys. But it's a pretty fun game, but it's hard. I think it goes more like a physics simulator.
Yeah, okay.
So I'm just a stupid person. I don't know anything. I just want to break stuff. So alright, what have you been playing?
I in spite of being incredibly busy, I managed to get a fair bit of time playing stuff. I got into the Battle Worlds Kronos beta. As part of a Kickstarter reward, and that's a kind of turn-based strategy in the style of games like Battle Isle, which I used to play a lot of Battle Isle 2 on my Amiga, so it's a definite nostalgia trip for me there. It's still still pretty early in development. But it seems like they're looking at adding in some kind of deeper story stuff, and it looks like they might have kind of branching dialogue and decision making stuff at certain points in some of the missions, which is kind of interesting touch as well.
Yeah.
And this is made by the same guys that made Book of Unwritten Tales and The Raven, which I mentioned earlier. So people who've made point and click adventure games which are kind of fairly story oriented. And then they're bringing some of that to this, classic hexagonal turn-based strategy game.
Yeah.
It's pretty neat. I've been playing a bit of Distance as well, which I've kind of gotten hooked on. I got into that via a Kickstarter reward as well. And while it's not quite sci-fi Trackmania, it's fun. It's pretty fun. I've been slowly clawing my way up the ladders for speedruns. I haven't had a chance to really get into multiplayer. I don't know that many people who've got it, so but hopefully as it gets closer to release, more and more people will pick it up. You can grab it from the developer side if you're interested.
Alright.
I also managed to pick up Super Frog HD when it was released during the week. Again, back in my Amiga days, I used to play a hell of a lot of Super Frog. In fact, I think that's one of 2 games that I still emulate today. And the HD version is interesting. They got I I'm not sure whether to like it or hate it. Really, yeah, I kind of prefer the older graphics, and I don't like the newer music. But all that stuff's kind of superficial. What I really have problems with is that some of the core mechanics have changed, like the amount of momentum you have when you're jumping and running, and it's a power up that used to allow you to fly, but now you can only glide with it, so it completely changes the ways in which you can navigate the levels. Which is kind of, I kind of feel if you wanna make something that's different, make something that's different. Don't remake something that already exists. But it's still kind of fun, and they've got the classic levels there as well to play. The new levels are made up from parts of the classic levels with new stuff inserted, so everything is really surreal and feels really familiar, but it's totally alien at the same time. And so I'm used to flying through. I've been playing this game for 15, 20 years, and wow, that I never thought I'd be saying that, but and yeah, so I'm used to just careening through their levels, and now I'm just lost all the time. But yeah, it's good. I think maybe, I don't know. I gotta think about it a bit more. But yeah, kind of really unhappy. Also, there was this level between just before the final stage, between the second last stage and the last stage, there was this kind of interlude level where instead of being like a normal platformer, it went into like a side-scrolling shooter, kind of like R-Type, which Team 17 did as well. And you frog in a spacesuit with a gun, you shoot all these robots and stuff, and it was this kind of really exciting, fun break from the normal gameplay. And I thought that at that point in the game, in the original game, it was it was a really welcome bit of diversity, but that's just completely missing from the new one, which is kind of sad. And the between level slot machine is completely different. It used to be that you could gamble your points that you'd earned during the level to get level codes or more points or more lives for upcoming levels. And so it was always this trade-off as you played through. Like, do I save my score, or do I spend it and risk it on the hope that I'll get some more good stuff. But now the only thing, you have to do it all the time. There's no value in saving it, and the only thing you can win is the classic levels. And so once you've unlocked them all, it's just this tedious thing that you've got to cancel out of every time you finish a level. Blah 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 blah
blah blah blah.
But I think I'll still play the original, really. I think, but I'll play the new one sometimes. Also been playing Assault Android Cactus, which I'm writing a review of at the moment. Gun Monkeys, which is I've been playing in Wine. Looks like an interesting game. I've been testing out some stuff for Another World, and maybe lobbying to try and get a Linux version of that happening. I played some Serious Sam with Mim, and a little bit of Thomas Was Alone as well. So I've had heaps of gaming time this fortnight. Yeah, heaps.
Oh, that's nice.
But yeah, so speaking of titles which might be coming to Linux, recently the Nuclear Dawn devs posted that they'd managed to make contact with and get a bit more communication out of Valve regarding how things were going to move forward for Nuclear Dawn on Linux.
Yeah.
And it sounds like that's a bit more positive than it was this time last month. So that's fantastic.
It's been a bit of a back and forth thing, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's I don't know. It sounds a little bit like a communication breakdown. But we'll just have to kind of sit and see what comes of it. We'll give them another nudge and in a couple of weeks and just kind of see if we can get regular status updates. And I think that if that ends up happening, then that's probably going to encourage more communication and hopefully forward progress.
I was a bit saddened by the Linux user who was Give me back my money. You promised me there would be a Linux release. Was screaming.
Yeah, it's tough.
Well, no, not really.
Yeah, I think on some levels, if a developer says, "Hey, we're totally gonna do Linux support next," and then they back off from it, that there's got to be some accountability there.
Well, they didn't say they.
But I think that there are better ways to there are totally better ways to voice your complaints than that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but they didn't say we're going to release a Linux version. They said they wanted to. But that's a bit different.
No, they said that with version 7 they'd start working on a Linux version. It was more than just we want to. It was a we're moving forwards with it kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
But well, we'll see how it pans out. Yeah. I'm cautiously optimistic there.
Yeah, we just want more games.
Yeah. So something else that I have been playing a little bit over the past fortnight is Wander, which I think I may have mentioned previously. It's this kind of non-combative multiplayer fantasy exploration third-person thing in which you can be a tree or a griffin if that excites you. And that's available for pre-order. You get access to their beta, which is slowly shaping up. It seems like it's kind of interesting. Like it's I don't really know how to describe it. They've kind of got this large world that you can explore, and as you explore, you come across these morph glyphs that let you turn into different beings which have different abilities. So like there's a swimming lizard thing that lets you crank around in the water, or there's the griffin thing that lets you fly around and do stuff in the sky and whatever. And there are obstacles and interesting terrain, and on one side of this island there are all these hoops that you can fly through if you're the griffin and stuff. It seems like they're trying to build some narrative into it and get some story exposure that you can uncover. But yeah, it's kind of interesting. It's like, and they've got built-in sort of world chat, kind of like what you'd have in an MMO. So I guess it is an MMO, but it's there don't seem to be any missions really. It's just kind of ambient exploration type stuff.
So Unity 3D has a feedback forum where you can suggest stuff for Unity. And
right.
And one thing there's in the top is the request for a Linux editor support.
Yeah, so this is currently, I think, like about 3,700 votes, which is 1,000 votes above the next highest ranked item. This thread's been around for quite some time, and I think it's been dominating for a while as well.
Yeah.
It's interesting to note, just that there is a feedback mechanism available, and whether or not 3,700 votes sounds like a lot, the fact that it is considered to be the most desirable thing by the people who use the feedback system is definitely noteworthy.
Yeah, exactly. I remember I was at Open Source Days in Copenhagen, where Unity had a talk about the Unity 3D engine, and they mentioned they mentioned that they were looking into an editor at that point because they had so many requests, but it could be just for show,
Yeah, it is hard to know. I mean, like different people have different understandings of what's being done, and people can like we've seen, people can start doing stuff and then realize that it's not as doable as they originally thought. But during the 7-day FPS challenge, I was talking to one of the guys from Unity who was hanging around and just being a resource for people who were using the engine, and he sounded like he was indicating that that there was activity going on, in terms of I don't know whether it was development or investigating what's doable or whatever, but that there was some kind of activity and interest on that front. So fingers crossed that we'll see something there as well.
Yeah. Well, recently they opened up another humble indie bundle for a change.
Yeah, this is the 9th.
Yeah.
The 9th humble indie bundle. It's crazy to think how short a time ago it was that the first one came out.
I can't even remember because I didn't know about it.
So this bundle's lineup was pretty strong. The core titles were Trine 2, Mark of the Ninja, Eats Munchies, Brutal Legend, with FTL and Fez as above, beat the average bonuses, and then just during the week they added Rocket Bird's A Virus Named Tom, which was ported by Flibbit from our community, as well as Bastion and Limbo. The Limbo build looks like it's the same one from the last bundle that had Limbo. It says the installer is from June 2012. If anybody is interested in that. One thing I found interesting about this particular bundle was that it has the same kind of peak in purchases that we saw for the Humble Indie Bundle 5, but instead of a corresponding increase in averages, this bundle has the lowest average of any Humble Indie Bundle to date. So, yeah, it's kind of interesting. And I would hazard a guess and say that some of that has to do with the fact that Brutal Legend and Bastion and Limbo, they've all been prominent in bundles already.
Yeah. There's also the other thing that I've talked a bit about before, that I kind of feel like Humble Bundle is losing their credibility, because once it was always cross-platform and everyone could play the package, and the games were first timers on the bundle. So, but now we got dozens of new bundles every month, and half of the games is not DRM free, and the rest of them doesn't run on Linux anyway. And yeah,
it feels like maybe the the original core audience were people who were passionate about the sorts of things that they were doing, and people who were obviously going to pay as much as they could afford, or valued things a little bit more than people who were just in it to pick up a couple of games. And I would imagine, and obviously I'm biased because I'm one of those people, but I would imagine that most of those passionate people would be encouraging others to contribute more and support the cause a bit better, and that maybe if some of that core original audience has been lost, that there aren't people out there encouraging support for notable bundles like this.
Yeah.
I know I don't feel as comfortable recommending every Humble Bundle the way that I used to. But, times change, things change. It's that in itself isn't a bad thing, It's certainly free to do whatever they want.
Yeah, of course.
It would be nice to have a little bit more communication about what is important to them. Just, at least out of kind of respect to that original core audience that was passionate and vocal and kind of helped bring about the popularity that they were able to build on.
I've also heard some people talk about the charities you can donate to, that they're too American.
Yeah,
like they lack some European charity thingies,
and Asian and Australasian and
yeah, of course,
African,
non-American. Let's say that.
Actually, I think there have been a couple of charities that have been doing work in Africa, but you're right. It does seem to be primarily American organizations that are receiving support from the bundles. But Child's Play to me at least, feels like it's a good match for Humble Bundle for the kind of stuff that they do. That there is a synergy between people who want to get games out there and people who want to get games out there to kids who are potentially in environments that are going to be conducive towards significant boredom and depression. Like access to entertainment and stuff can be a pretty significant thing if you've got a lengthy hospital stay, particularly if you're not rich enough to being able to drag that kind of stuff out to the hospital.
So yeah, and recently they opened up the weekly sale with EgoSoft.
Yeah,
which contains some X games. Do you call them X games?
Yeah, X.
Or cross? I don't know.
X. So we've got all of the X3 titles being offered with Linux support. No Linux support for any of the earlier ones, which is kind of sad, I guess. But I'm under the impression that getting access to the older existing ports is probably wouldn't be that positive anyway. I think they'd probably be a little bit more difficult to run. Probably require a little bit extra support, and all that stuff starts to get a little bit more messy. Unless there's actual proper porting work going into modernizing the older ports. That said, I don't actually own any of the older ones, so I can't speak from personal experience there. But yeah,
I never seen the game or played the game, but I didn't own any of them, so I bought the bundle.
Yeah, nice. I hope you get a chance to try them out. They're pretty interesting. They're kind of space, flight, commerce, trading, simulator games. They're pretty sweet.
Yeah. So should we move on to crowdfunding?
Yeah. Sorry, excuse me. First on our list to mention, we have The Fall, which is this kind of adventure platformer thing in which you play an AI that controls an exosuit of an unconscious person, and your job is to get them to safety. But you've got to navigate through a dangerous environment, and you have these kind of protocols in place that prevent you from making use of some of your suit's abilities unless the human occupant is in danger. So you find yourself putting the person you're meant to be protecting at risk so that you can save them. There's a really interesting kind of angle there. We're also looking at trying to put in a little bit of exploration of social expectations and prejudice and stuff like that. So it's going to be interesting to see how this evolves. And we've invited the developer to come and join us on a future SteamLUG Cast episode. So fingers crossed we'll be able to get him on there. Have you had a chance to look at it at all, Swordfisher?
Not at all. Sorry.
So, visually, it kind of looks like you were saying you did have a look. I know, because you told me this. You said that it looks a little bit like a cross between Limbo and Limbo and Making Mars.
Yeah.
Waking Mars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I really like the look and feel they've got for it. Is pretty nice, I think.
Yeah. I'm a lying bastard. I know that. Sorry. I didn't have much to add, so I just thought, man, I lie. Yeah.
It's all good. But yeah, he's the developers Over the Moon Games, I think it is, off the top of my head, are keen to have the community, the backing community, be involved in the direction and the development of the game. So if you're gonna find the concept compelling and want to be able to sort of have some input and partake in the growth of the title, then get involved. I certainly wish I had more time to really dig into the project. It looks really exciting. It's definitely something that I'd be keen on.
I'd probably buy it. That says a lot.
It does.
Yeah. So last thing on our menu is how do you say this?
Dessert.
Yeah, Neo-Victorian Skirmish Squad.
Say that 5 times fast.
Neo-Victorian Skirmish Squad? No, I can't do that.
5 times fast, not 5 times Swedish.
No. ho.
Sorry, Swedish listeners.
Yeah. Det var fan, det är inte bra.
Yeah, so how did you come across these guys?
Well, I'm a moderator on Linux Gaming, so I have to, read some of the posts people come up with sometimes. And the developers made a post on Linux Gaming subreddit. What they're asking the community what they would like from the game. It's a Unity 3D game, so that much is settled. But what do people want when they are going to release this game? And people came up with some pretty basic stuff, but it seems to me that these kind of things are often forgotten, like simultaneous release and no content difference between the Windows version and the Linux version. And
the key thing that stands out to me here is somebody saying, please test for full screen on dual monitor setup.
Yeah,
because
I just read
this
that. Yeah.
is something that sucks, that most people don't quite get right. I mean, I run dual head, and whenever I run one of the Double Fine titles for the first time, it clones onto both of my monitors and then turns one of them off. It's kind of mad.
The fun thing about monitors, it can be very off-putting when you start the game for the first time and it opens up the wrong monitor and it changes the resolution of the other monitors, and the game is full screen but in a window, and yeah.
I think it would be much easier for everybody if the industry as a whole embraced the notion of windowed as a default.
Oh yeah.
And that way you can pick what you want, and it doesn't hurt anybody. Nobody has any bad experiences,
Yeah, just start an 800 by 600 or something, windowed mode, and let some people change in the first run, or have a launcher. I mean,
yep.
It's basic stuff, but yeah.
Well, here's the thing, most Unity games have launchers on Windows.
Oh, they do?
Apparently. Yeah.
Well, I don't use Windows, so I wouldn't know.
So the game that we're playing for Game Club, for example, the Raven, that's got a launcher on Windows.
Yeah.
And when I was talking with some of the other Game Club organizers, they were kind of really surprised to find out that it didn't have one on Linux. But yeah, apparently that's I don't know whether it's developers that aren't aware of it or whether it's just something that the Unity publishing thing doesn't offer. But yeah.
Actually, I'm lying again. I do use Windows.
You're a compulsive liar.
Yeah. I just can't stop now. That was a lie too. No. No. Yeah. Okay. Last off, we have we're giving away of the current Indie Gala bundle, the Flashpoint bundle on Indie Gala, to a random person who suggests something for our SteamLUG Cast.
Do it.
Yeah.
If you send a email to cast@steamlug.org.
Yeah. Just a general recommendation. What do you think we should mention next time, and what can we do better, and anything.
If we get enough questions, we will totally do a mailbag segment.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be awesome.
Electronic mailbag.
Yeah.
Yeah. We get to read out all the questions in silly voices.
Yeah.
You guys, I can tell, you're all salivating. You want this, right?
Yeah. And you can send me love letters if you want that. I'm okay with that.
With extra hearts.
Yes, of course. Or horses.
Brushes.
Yeah.
I think the cast ended 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, probably. Okay. Well, yeah, thanks for joining, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. See you next time. No offense to Expander, but maybe it's time for a new theme.
Yeah.